Hello, everybody, and welcome to the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast, episode number 29. I am Bill.
I'm DK.
And today we are going to take an adventure to the dark side as we are going to start part one of a three-part look at The Undertaker. Oh.
Yeah, this was my choice. You said, don't do a poll, you just pick.
Yeah, I did. I had nobody.
It's been like a little bit since we've done a show. Our last show was when we did Sting and SummerSlam reviews. So
about
we're almost getting close to the next show that we're also going to preview on this pod today. But I was just thinking, I've been watching a lot of Undertaker stuff on the network, and in the last year and a half, he's actually come out as more of a human being. Mark Calloway. We've learned a lot about him and what he went through. So there's going to be like a different view of the Undertaker and today we will be doing years 90 to 1999. So we'll get basically right up to when he changed to American Badass. So it should be a good ride. And yeah, I got some stories and other things, and we'll break down his 90 to 99 career, and I think the Undertaker is the best character in wrestling history. I mean, and one of the greatest of all time wrestlers.
I mean, I will have a funny story to tell about Undertaker with a certain moment in his career.
Nice.
Which I don't think I've ever told you, but I know I've told people on that wrestling show many times in the past.
All right. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
That'll be pretty fun. But before we get to The Undertaker, we are going to do a preview of Clash at the Castle. It is Saturday, September the 3rd, a 1 p.m. start here Eastern Time, noon Central, 11 Mountain, 10 a.m. Pacific, because the show is in Wales and it'll start at 6 p.m. over there, which actually is not a bad time to think about.
No, that time difference isn't too bad at all.
No, not at all.
And like, who doesn't want to wake up Saturday morning and grab a coffee and watch a wrestling pay-per-view that's live? I think that's cool. Like, I know before, like when they had UFC pay-per-views over there, they wouldn't like show it live. You'd have to like avoid the internet all day, and then they'd give you a discount on the pay-per-view if it would still come on at like 8 at night. You usually found out who won, so it's nice that you can watch it live, and that'll be 11 a.m. start where I'm at, so not too bad. So
it's really not bad for just about anywhere, honestly. So.
Yeah.
Even in Japan, like if you're living in Japan, you could get up at 2 a.m. in the morning to watch the show.
There you go. Maybe if you work an afternoon shift, you just come home and then throw on the network in Japan. Shout out to any Japan fans that we have.
So
I hope we have some.
I hope so too, actually. So as of this recording, we have 5 matches announced for the show, with the big one being Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Universal Championship. And there are people who believe that this could be where Roman Reigns' title run ends. I don't know if it will, but it's a good possibility. Exactly.
Do you want to go through the whole card, or you want to just kind of talk about, because I got some takes on this main event.
Yeah, let's talk about the main event first, because this is a fresh match.
Yeah,
they haven't competed against each other in over a year and a half. I think they Survivor Series 2 years ago.
Yeah,
the last time
like the 2 champions, and then Roman Reigns hasn't been beat by pinfall in 3 years.
Yeah.
So he's being overly protected as a monster. And I still think they're the poster, like there's been WrestleMania posters shown. Now, I don't don't know if like fans are rocking on the reins on the post. So I don't know, but I did hear rumors that the USA Network wants a title for Raw. So I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't see Roman Reigns losing in the UK as his loss, but like the people in Wales may riot if Drew McIntyre doesn't win. So I don't know. And then you always have that other thing with Theory kind of hanging around with the Money in the Bank, which he teased. He wanted to cash in at SummerSlam, and then it got stopped. So yeah, I don't know. I can see a cash in scenario where maybe Drew beats Roman,
right?
And then Theory comes in, or you know what? This would be the easiest way to do it. Theory cashes in, makes it a triple threat. Drew McIntyre beats Theory to win the title.
Reigns never gets pinned.
Roman doesn't lose the titles. And then they can do maybe some kind of, I don't know how they would do it to separate the titles again.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some kind of just 2 contender match, and then Roman could win that.
Right.
Win his WWE championship back.
Mm-hmm.
Where they split the titles somehow. I don't know. It's like Vince had the idea to unify the titles, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
And all the reports are the USA Network is disappointed with Raw because there's no title on the show, which is important. Mm-hmm. Same thing happened in 2003. And then, I don't know if you guys remember back then, but Triple H was just awarded the World Heavyweight Championship. He became their champion on Raw. I don't think that would happen in this case. I think it's probably going to be the big name on Raw being a champion. Mm-hmm. So even if Drew McIntyre would win, maybe if they changed it to, it's just for the WWE Championship, not the Universal Championship, then maybe there would be a chance where Drew would go to Raw or something. I really don't know. Like, they might be scrambling here.
Yeah. And
it could be something that happens down the line. Maybe Survivor Series, they have some kind of thing with the titles, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'm not
what they're
sure
going to do there. There are a lot of rumors for this Clash of the Castle, though, so we get into some of the other matches. But
I mean, I'll say this to kind of wrap up with the title match. I've talked to a couple people this week, and the general consensus is that they feel Drew should get another run, and that he should win it in front of an audience, in front of a crowd, because when he did win against Brock at WrestleMania a couple years ago, it was in front of nobody. So
yeah,
if you, and that in itself is a good story right there to add into it. You won the WWE title at WrestleMania, but you did it in front of nobody.
Yeah.
Let's see you try to win it in front of however many thousands of people they're going to have in Wales on September 3rd. That would be a good twist into the story.
Definitely.
Drew going for the WWE title.
And I'll add to that, Triple H is more of a fan as like the management lead now, where he like Vince always said, fans, like he listens to the fans, but did he really? Yeah. Triple H, I think, can see that. And Drew, like, his big moment in front of fans was winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
After that,
which is not a bad moment.
Yeah, like that pop that he got when he eliminated Brock Lesnar, like that was a loud Royal Rumble pop. Because Brock had come out number 1 and he just ruined the Royal Rumble. He just eliminating everybody, and it was boring.
Right.
And then everyone's just like, okay, what's going to happen here? We want to see an actual Royal Rumble. We want to see 10 guys in a ring trying to eliminate each other, not 1 versus 1 the whole time. But yeah, the Roman Reigns thing, that's the only thing. It's similar to WrestleMania 31, where Brock was unbeatable.
Yeah.
They add they add Seth Rollins into the match with the cash in, and then he beats Roman Reigns to win the title, to get the title off of Brock. Now, could be a similar situation, but I don't think Theory would win. I could see him being one of those Baron Corbin type. We laugh at him because he didn't, like, he's going to cash in, and then maybe Drew and Roman both like get up, and then they just kind of like smirk at him or something, and then they destroy him, and then Theory ends up losing to Drew, and then Drew would still have his moment. Roman could take a little bit of time off and then come back and kind of reclaim. I never lost. I haven't it's weird because they're doing this thing with the number and the days as champion, and they keep mentioning like the names that he's like with, like Bob Backlund and Hulk Hogan and
Pedro and Bruno. Yeah, you're like up in the upper echelon at this point.
So you gotta kind of look at that history and go, sure, we want Drew to have his moment, but is there another chance in this modern day wrestling where you would have a guy champion that long? Like in the Attitude Era, you like maybe 6 months
at best.
If you won the title at WrestleMania, if you still had it at Survivor Series, that was a hell of a year. Usually, like, and then you look at what Roman Reigns is doing. Like, if you think about it, I know I'm getting off topic a little bit, but if you think about Stone Cold Steve Austin's run at number one, in 98 to 99, it was 2 years. And people consider him the greatest of all time. He had 2 years as like the number one guy. Then he went away. He came back for a year. He was not as good, in my opinion, especially when he turned heel. And then he came back a little bit in 2003 after he left. So like he had three good years, really. And like Roman Reigns has had that in a row.
Yeah.
And like, if you went on Twitter and said Roman Reigns is better than Stone Cold Steve Austin, 99% of people would like attack you on Twitter about that.
But the thing you also got to take into consideration with that is Austin was hurt in 98 and 99.
Oh, I know.
Roman Reigns, ever since, really, and I want to word this right, when the pandemic was not nearly as bad as it first was, which was that summer. He's been on fire. He's been unstoppable. And it's just been a constant that he has these good to great matches. And he's avoided being injured. And WWE has booked him the last several months or even the last year or so, where it's like, okay, Roman doesn't need to be on every pay-per-view. Should he? Maybe. But there are some pay-per-views that honestly he doesn't really need to be on. Like, did we really need him at WrestleMania again? No, we didn't really need him on. We're referring to Backlash for those that don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But he was still on that show. He didn't need to be on that show, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting what they do with that match and how the title's going to go. And because I think Roman's title reign alone is going to go down as one of the best in WWE history. Where it ranks,
I would say it's the best right now.
Where it ranks when it's done, and we're talking years from now, that's another time for another place. But I would say it's going to be pretty up there when we get to that discussion.
Yeah, because like if you're talking about him compared to the other guys that we're referring to, like let's say Hulk Hogan, right? Like he defended the title like twice a year, and
well on TV.
Yeah, on TV. Like I'm sure there was house shows and stuff where he
Yeah,
was the champion and then he would win in 10 minutes and then Hogan would pose. But I just think like, especially with this day and age we're in, and you see so much more. It's definitely the best title reign that I've seen as like a wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we were talking before, like I'll use Steve Austin again. Like he won the title at WrestleMania 14, and then he lost it at in your house to Undertaker and Kane.
Mm-hmm.
In like a thing Vince was trying to get title off him. But that was like 5 months. And then he wins the title back at the following WrestleMania, and then he loses it at SummerSlam.
Or if you want to go more recent, within the last 10 years, CM Punk's reign as WWE champion. Yeah. He had that belt for 434 days, which is not a bad number, to cry about.
And that one really pissed me off how they handled him. Because with The Rock coming back and beating him, you didn't need that. The Rock didn't have to be the champion when he lost to John Cena. That was a WrestleMania main event without a title.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they counted out the days because CM Punk, I don't know if you listen to his Colt Cabana podcast, he's talking about things. He if they counted it out and he was in a triple threat match at Mania as the champion, he just wanted to be in the main event. He would, if he lost the title that night, it would have been 500 days as champion, like to the day. And he didn't care if he was the first one beat, if it was an elimination triple threat match. He's like, I'll lose at 5 minutes. I just want to be in the WrestleMania main event. And they kind of jerked him around. But that was another really good title reign that obviously the WWE won't acknowledge because of how it ended with him there and how he's in AEW now and everything like that. But that's another guy for sure.
It is.
But it's going to be interesting. I know we're talking about this a little bit longer than we expected, but what do you think about the rest of the card?
Well, there's only one or two other matches that I'm kind of interested in, and we'll talk about them right now.
Sure.
Liv Morgan is going to defend the SmackDown Women's title against Shayna Baszler. The thing with this one is it's all about Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Why could you not just have Morgan and Rousey again and then just have Rousey win the title back? Nothing against Shayna Baszler. I like Shayna Baszler. She's a darn good wrestler.
Yep.
But if you've watched the last 2-3 weeks, it's all been about Ronda Rousey. Like Rousey paying the fine, Rousey getting in the arena, Rousey getting arrested. Either replace Baszler and put Rousey in the match or make it a triple threat match. Because I really, and I hate to say that I don't have interest, because Liv has kind of won me over this last year and a half. So I'm not saying Liv is the best wrestler, but as a character, she's won me over.
Yeah, I think she's a great wrestler. I just don't think she matches up well with Ronda.
Mm-hmm.
So like I wouldn't have any interest in watching another Ronda Liv match. Like I know we've only had two, and the first one was a cash-in, so it's like barely a match. But after SummerSlam, like if you guys listen to our SummerSlam post, like I think that was our worst match.
That was our worst
of the night, and like the ending was like it was okay how they did it, how Ronda like got her to tap out, but she got the pin like just before or right just after, however it went.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shayna Baszler is kind of like Ronda Rousey light for me. Like she can wrestle the same type of style, so
but she's more of a wrestler.
Yes,
than Ronda is, by far.
They both have the same MMA background and stuff, so this is a nice transition if they want Ronda to kind of. See, I thought they would have Ronda suspended and then she would go away for a bit and then come back, but she's still been around. She's just kind of being a rebellious badass now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of funny because I think they were hoping Ronda would be this heel and Liv would be a babyface. Liv's getting booed, and then they're cheering Ronda.
Yeah.
So maybe they're gonna kind of transition a little bit there, and but I really don't see why they would have Liv lose here to Shayna Baszler. So obviously, I know we're not really making predictions here. We're kind of
we're not. We're just previewing.
Yeah, but I would take Liv in this one if we were predicting things.
All right. Now this next match I'm really looking forward to. A 6-woman tag match: Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka against Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. This has the makings of show-stealing match of the night.
Yeah, and I was reading this. I don't know how credible it is, but that they might be adding war games to the stipulation.
I'd heard that, but I don't really buy into.
I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, that this could be a stealer for sure. Yeah, it's I'm thinking that Alexa Bliss is being subbed here because it was supposed to be Becky, but then she ended up getting hurt at SummerSlam.
Right.
And it's too bad that Becky has to miss a Wales show. I know it's not in her home country, but I'm sure she'd get cheered pretty good.
Yeah.
This one's going to be good, I think. Six woman tag matches usually don't move the needle for me, but I think this one has the potential.
This one's an exception, I think.
Yep.
All right. Then we have Riddle against Seth Rollins, the match that was gonna happen at SummerSlam, but they decided to push it back.
Yeah.
Don't know why they did that. It was.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, maybe there was a legit injury to Riddle here, but he did have some physical contact with Seth at SummerSlam, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. But maybe they wanted to save it. But that's not really how WWE does things. They're okay doing rematches constantly. So
yeah, I expect that to be good. Yeah,
Riddle's gotten a lot better in the last few years, especially since he started wrestling like Randy Orton. Yeah, he's kind of like a high flying Randy Orton now.
I think
it'll be good.
It is a matter of time before Riddle has another belt around his waist. Maybe, maybe it'll be the world title. Maybe it'll be the universal title. We'll just have to wait and see. But
it'd be cool if they brought back the European Championship with this show. How cool would that be? Triple H just walks out with the old belt.
This is my belt. Here you go. No. Yeah. And the final match, which was added on SmackDown, this one I'm really looking forward to. Intercontinental title match, Gunther against Sheamus.
Yeah. Who's a fan? Are the fans going to cheer for Sheamus here?
They might.
Where's Gunther from?
He's Poland? From Austria.
Austria? Okay. Because, like, UK fans, they cheer for everybody that's not American.
Right.
like if you watch, like, when it was, like, the Heart Foundation years, like, they always cheer for, like, they acted like the Heart Foundation was, like, oh, they're not from US, so we like them.
And they even rooted for Jim Neidhart, and he was an American.
I know. The whole Heart Foundation was American. It was kind of funny how they had that whole thing. But yeah, I've been really impressed with Gunther. That match that he had with Shinsuke on SmackDown was like a top TV match that I've seen in a long time. Yeah, that should be good. There's another match. I know you said this was the 5th one that I heard about. It's supposed to be the women's tag championship match, I think, at this show.
I don't know, because and the only reason
I think the finals is going to be here, and I'm not a huge rumor fan guy, but I did hear a rumor that the Sasha Banks Naomi is being finalized to come back, and that they could kind of be a surprise team and make this like a triple threat tag match.
But
I don't know how credible that is, so don't quote me on it.
Oh no, I'm not.
I feel like that would be a huge cool surprise, especially for the UK fans. Having those come back.
The only problem that I have with that, and it's not even Sasha and Naomi. The problem I have with that is one of the semifinal matches, which is going to take place this week on Raw, is Dakota Kai and Io Sky against Asuka and Bliss.
Right.
So that would mean if they do the finals at that show, then one of those two teams is going to have to wrestle twice that night.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're, I'm not really sure if they want to do that.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to put it. So you think the finals would be before the pay-per-view then?
I think so. Okay. Or it could be after. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. So that's our preview.
There's one more thing before we go.
Go ahead.
Now, there's the one-man show the day before. Undertaker. It's like the Dead Man show or something. It's like a one-man show that he's doing in Wales. Do you think that there would be an Undertaker appearance here? Because I think there would be. I'm just trying to figure out in the show when he would come out, or if maybe he would just come out and address the crowd or something.
Maybe.
He's already going to be there. Like he's there already.
Right.
It's not like he's coming over just to do a little appearance, but he's already there. He's going to be in the back watching. Maybe throw on your trench coat. Maybe do a quick promo, get the crowd going nuts, and
never know.
So
it wouldn't surprise me.
And I thought that would be a nice segue, finish off of that, and then we jump into the reason we're doing an episode today.
Yes. So. Because now we are going to talk about the Undertaker. And there's so many words that we could say about him. Maybe the greatest character in WWE history. One of the most influential wrestlers in history. One of the most beloved wrestlers in history. We could go on and on about this guy.
Yep.
So if we're going to go on about the Undertaker, we got to go back to the beginning. And I want to bring up something that was very interesting that I didn't know about till many years ago. And that was at the end of his run in WCW, because yes, he was in WCW for a brief time. At the time, the booker was Ole Anderson. And Ole Anderson told Mark Calloway, said, I like you, but I don't think you're ever going to have people come to pay money to see you wrestle.
No one's going to pay money to see you wrestle, is the quote.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, that was, I guess, a hint of, we're not going to really want you much longer. So Undertaker is at home. He gets a call from Vince McMahon. He's like, hello, is the Undertaker there?
Let's go back just a little bit. You're telling that story. It's awesome. Now, Mark Calloway on the Steve Austin podcast, he thought he was going to be Eggman.
Right, because of the
because they had offered him, I believe he had got the contract already. We're going to bring you in. And then they had this giant, and then you looked, he's like, there's this giant egg sitting there for a few weeks. Didn't know what was going to happen. And he was all scared. He's like, you're going to make me shave my head and my eyebrows. I'm going to be Eggman. And he's like, I guess I'm Eggman. So we go back and you see the history of the Undertaker and what maybe could have happened if he ended up being Eggman.
Yeah.
Could have been Eggman. So, but I know like that happened before.
Yeah.
And then when Vince called me, this the Undertaker. Then he's like, Yes, it is.
So,
like, what do you say when someone calls you and asks you if this is the Undertaker? No, my name is Mark.
Who are you talking to? No. So, we all know the famous debut at Survivor Series 1990, the mystery partner
$1
of
Million
the $1 Million team. Yep, $1 Million Man. And he puts on a good performance for his first night. He eliminates Coco Beware, and he eliminates Dusty Rhodes.
That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not a bad start.
Beating Dusty Rhodes in your first night with the company, that's not bad. Bad of a debut.
So he begins with his manager being Brother Love. And it's an interesting pairing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't last long because a few months later, they hire this guy. You may have heard of him, Percy Pringle. So he debuts on the Brother Love show. And Brother Love asks him, "What's your name, Bear? What's your first name, Paul?" Paul Bearer.
So good. So good.
Great way to introduce him.
Percy Pringle was like an actual mortician, so it actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Paul Bearer came to play because you guys know Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard, he didn't want to do the double duty anymore. He didn't want to go on the road. He wanted to be in the office. Yeah. So they're like, we got to come up at the time, like maybe someone that could talk for Undertaker, because he only said, like, at this time, I don't even think he talked at all. I don't think he had the rest in peace line or anything yet. So, and it was just a match made in heaven with these two guys.
It was. So we go to WrestleMania 7, Undertaker's first WrestleMania.
The beginning.
The beginning, yes. And he defeats Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Now, originally, and I don't know if you'd ever heard this, originally it was going to be Tugboat against The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
Okay.
But then they decided to go with Snuka. So Tugboat got screwed out twice of a good WrestleMania pay. Chic Tugboat.
Oh, man, yeah.
And then he could have lost to The Undertaker.
Yeah, I don't know how a WrestleMania payday was in 91, but it was still probably decent.
Poor Uncle Fred. So after that, Undertaker gets into his first big feud, and it is with the Ultimate Warrior. And how that begins is on this brand new talk show called The Funeral Parlor. And I believe the Warrior is the first guest. If he's not, he's one of the first guests on the show.
Yeah.
And Undertaker and Paul Bearer stuff him in a casket. That's how the feud begins.
Nice.
So for months on end, they have matches, and I think they even had, they had like a body bag match on some house shows where Warrior would win. They even did casket matches at the time. So, they were moving along, and then we all know what happened with the Warrior at SummerSlam. We don't really need to talk about it.
Yeah, we discussed that during the Warrior episode. Yeah. Go back and listen if you haven't heard it.
Yep, it's in the archives. So then Undertaker gets a big opportunity because at Survivor Series that year, 91, he challenges Hulk Hogan for the WWF title in what they are billing as the gravest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I just remembered this story. So I have two stories of The Undertaker with my childhood and him basically messing up my childhood.
Yeah.
There was an episode of Superstars. Now, I'm 6 at the time. Hulk Hogan is on the funeral parlor. Flair comes out. Hogan and Flair, they're having an argument. Here comes Undertaker coming out of his coffin, and he attacks Hogan. And I start crying. No! Somebody help him! Because I was a Hogan fan. I didn't want Hogan to get hurt. And
of
then,
course, we were all Hogan fans when we were kids.
So
and cheering for the half dead guy.
Right. So then we get to Survivor Series, which now is on Thanksgiving Eve. So I can watch the show while my parents cook, the food for Thanksgiving the next day. And with help from Ric Flair, Undertaker beats Hogan to win the title.
Yeah, it's a huge moment.
It is. Within a year of in the company, he wins the title.
Yeah. Like Hogan didn't lose championships on non-WrestleMania shows.
No.
But like before this is probably his second biggest loss, because when he lost to the Warrior,
right.
That was a big moment. Hogan losing.
So
yeah.
So Undertaker's first reign lasts 6 days.
See, okay. That's one thing that always, because it was on a Wednesday night or something, right?
Yeah, it was on Thanksgiving Eve.
Because then they have the Tuesday in Texas, which you're supposed to get to, right? Which is one of the. I love that show.
That's a good show.
It's only like an hour and a half. So we could probably do like a watch along with that. Watch the entire thing.
That would be a fun one. Yeah.
So
Hogan beats Taker for the belt again. And that shenanigans, and then it leads to the Royal Rumble. And Undertaker got preferential treatment because he was one of the last champions, so he could get a later number. I want to say, eliminated 1 or 2 people before Hogan eliminated him. And Undertaker's done at this time with the title picture.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Undertaker is I never thought he needed the title. Like his character was so strong. He could just have like gimmick matches or just regular matches with guys, and you would get excited about it because his entrance was so cool and his matches were great.
Right.
He didn't need to be champion or a challenger.
So then we get to a very interesting point in Undertaker's career, because at the end of a Saturday night's main event, yes, they're still going on in 92, even though I love them. Jake the Snake is going to attack Randy Savage and Elizabeth with a chair. Undertaker stops Jake from attacking him. And this is basically his babyface turn right here.
The dead man is now a babyface.
And this leads to his second match at WrestleMania with Jake the Snake, which I thought was a good match. I still think it's a good match. I mean, it's not match of the night, but for what it is, it's an entertaining match.
Yeah, like during this show, we'll go through the WrestleMania matches, and they're not any spectacular 5-star matches here.
No. We're far.
But this one was better than the Snuka match.
Yeah, it is.
It wasn't very long.
No,
but it didn't need to be long.
Exactly.
It was an older Jake versus the Undertaker. Like the Undertaker should beat him quick.
So we're gonna go forward because Undertaker's going to end up getting in 2 more feuds this year in 92.
Yeah.
The first one is with the Berserker. And this leads to
oh my God, I forgot about
this. Leads to a famous moment on Superstars, which is on Peacock or the network, wherever you watch it. They have the episode up. I recommend you guys just watch the episode for this one bit. Berserker, who's a Viking, if you didn't know the gimmick. He's got a sword. He's going to stab the Undertaker with the sword. He takes it. Undertaker just gets up before he gets stabbed.
It's like when Drew McIntyre has his sword. Like, what are you going to do, man?
Oh, man, it was so funny. So I don't really know how that feud ends. It just ends.
My guess is that the Undertaker beats him,
I would
or the
imagine.
Berserker's contract ran out and they just decided to not care about it anymore.
Right. So then Undertaker's other feud this year is with Kamala.
Yeah. And it's good that you just brought that up, because I watched that match was on. They're showing all these UK stuff on the network right now
to get ready for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I turned on the TV last night, and it was when the Undertaker was doing his entrance for that match. So I'll let you continue what you're doing.
So the match is okay. I'm not going to complain.
What about the entrance, though? He comes out.
The entrance is cool. The entrance is cool because you got this long.
And this is Wembley Stadium. This is the big one with Bulldog and Brett. So
yeah. So he has the hearse, and then Undertaker wins by DQ, and Kamala just beats up Undertaker after the match, and then Kamala, I think, tries to go into the ring one more time, and then Undertaker just sits up, and this scares Kamala.
Yep.
Like, it scared the bejesus out of him.
Kamala's a good actor here, or he was actually.
So now you've got a story of Kamala is scared of the Undertaker. And that's going to lead us to the Survivor Series, where we have the first ever, or at least recognized, the first ever casket match.
Yeah.
Even though it was called a coffin match.
Yeah. It was basically a casket match. It was.
And Undertaker wins that match. So now we go to the next year. Undertaker's in the Royal Rumble. He's one of the favorites to win it.
He's kind of undefeated Survivor Series too, eh? At this point.
Yeah, he's undefeated at Survivor Series, undefeated at SummerSlam, undefeated at WrestleMania.
So he lost to the Warrior, you said, right?
But it was on like house shows.
Okay, so I was thinking, because we're going through his career, and I'm like trying to find a loss besides you said that he lost to the Warrior in a body bag match. Like, I don't remember a loss besides the Tuesday in Texas to Hogan. Right. So he's on a pretty good win-loss record here at this point.
He is.
Okay.
So Undertaker's kicking ass, taking names, when all of a sudden Harvey Whippleman shows up, and he brings the biggest man we've ever seen in our lives, and he destroys the Undertaker. And this man would eventually be the Giant Gonzalez.
Oh my God.
Yeah, with the body and everything.
Mark Calloway is still not forgiven Vince McMahon for this.
And I've always heard that Giant Gonzalez was a nice guy. He was just one of the nicest people.
I'm sure he was a nice guy.
But he couldn't. I mean, I liked him. I liked him as Elegante in WCW as a kid. So
Vince probably saw him and went,
he saw money.
You're huge.
He saw money in that guy.
Yep. I don't care if you can wrestle. We'll teach you how to wrestle. You're big. This is similar to Great Khali.
In a way.
Yep.
So Undertaker faces, I almost said Great Khali. Undertaker faces the Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9. And this is the first cool WrestleMania entrance that the Undertaker has.
Yeah.
Because he had the hearse at SummerSlam. So at WrestleMania, he's got a vulture with him.
Yes, he does.
Riding this chariot.
Yeah.
So
I never liked the Undertaker entrances when they had outside WrestleManias, because it wasn't as like I think at this time they weren't doing the lights out thing yet.
No.
So I guess at this point it's not disappointing because it hasn't happened yet. But if you rewatch it, you're like, it's better when he comes out and it's all dark.
It is. It is.
For those stadium or outside shows. WrestleMania 9. You gotta do it
right.
Man.
Like 20, when we get to 29.
Yeah.
I'm gonna praise that entrance.
You were at that show, weren't you?
I was at that show. When we get to that, I will tell my story.
Yeah, and that'll
So,
be part 3, I believe, based
yeah, I
on
think so. Yeah.
how we do it.
So they have a match, and Undertaker wins by DQ after the Giant Gonzalez basically suffocates the Undertaker with chloroform. And this is the first time the Undertaker is stretchered out from the ring. And what's so interesting, this is what I remember about the show, this particular moment. Undertaker's being stretchered out. Gonzalez is in the ring. There's a Hogan chant going on. And like, I didn't grasp it at the time, but it's like, really? Do we really want Hogan against this big guy? And then,
Well, I don't know.
And then
it would have been better than the what happened with Hogan that night.
Well, yeah.
If Hogan had come out and body slammed Giant Gonzalez and avenged the Undertaker. It still would have been stupid, but it would have been better.
It would have been stupid,
the alternative.
But then you hear a gong, and here comes the Undertaker. He's coming back to fight him.
Nice.
So
your chloroform wear it off.
Yeah, it did.
What are they teaching kids at WrestleMania 9? You want the guy fall asleep? Put this on his face. Come on, Vince. What are you doing? Chloroform. WrestleMania 9, like, almost ruined wrestling.
There's a couple good there's like 2 good matches. Maybe.
There's no good matches because the other matches are so bad it makes it worse. It's like when you have -7 and you add 6 to it, it's still negative.
Are you doing Scott Steiner, man?
Yes. Scott Steiner. Big Papa Pumpkin to save that show.
And he's on that show too.
I know he is.
Anyway. Yeah. So Undertaker and Gonzalez, they keep feuding.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one point where Paul Bearer's taken out of action. So Undertaker's on his own for a little.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
And then they have their conclusion of their feud at SummerSlam in the first and only, thankfully, rest in peace match.
This is SummerSlam 93 we're at here.
Yes.
Okay.
And Paul Bearer returns and helps the Undertaker to beat Giant Gonzalez.
So what was the stipulation of a rest in peace match? Because I haven't seen that pay-per-view in a long, long time.
I don't remember. It's like if you win...
That's the Lex Luger body slam where he's supposed to be becoming champion and then everything goes to hell for him.
Yes.
So, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know I've seen that because, it made no sense why Lex didn't win the title. And we talked about it during our Lex Luger episode in the archives. That's another cheap plug. Yeah. So, yeah, what was the stipulation of a rest in peace match?
I don't know.
So it was just like a match with the Undertaker and he wins by pinfall?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then he places a rest in peace wreath over Giant Gonzalez. That's so dumb. So
there you go, creative
after that adventure, Undertaker gets into a big program because he replaces Tatanka on Lex Luger's team for the Survivor Series. And this is where the Yokozuna Undertaker feud begins, is this show. And if you watch that match, and again, this is another interesting thing, Undertaker never gets in the ring until towards the end of the match. Because it's like, it's Lex and the Steiners. They're doing the work. Undertaker's standing in the corner for 20 minutes, not doing anything.
Feet are probably falling asleep.
And then when he gets the hot tag, it's like, oh!
Yeah.
So that starts the feud there. And then we get to the Royal Rumble, where Undertaker's going for the WWF title against Yokozuna in a casket match.
And young Bill's gonna not be able to sleep this night.
Yes.
I've heard the story before.
Yes.
So lead you up to that.
Yes. So Undertaker's about to win. Yokozuna's in the casket. Yeah. All of a sudden, here comes the likes of Bam Bam Bigelow, Crush, Diesel, the Head Shrinkers, among others.
Diesel was part of that, eh?
Yeah.
Damn.
Who come to help Yokozuna.
Not about that.
It is a 10-on-1 beatdown of the Undertaker.
Yep.
And it like they make it so dramatic because like they have the urn, they open the urn, and there's like this green smoke coming out, and so Undertaker's dead, basically.
He killed him.
They killed him.
And there's no cops. No one calls the cops. The 10 guys just go in the back. Like,
yeah,
we killed him.
Yep.
Deal.
And then
poor Bill as a child, it's like inconsolable.
And then the moment that traumatized me for many months.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, not terribly, but you know, I was a little scared of the dark for a while after.
You gotta put the nightlight on after the.
I did have the nightlight on, and it still didn't work. So
that's good stuff, man.
So the Undertaker is in the casket.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up. This scares the crap out of me. I'm 8. I'm watching this live. This scares me. He cuts.
I watched it live too. I think I was 11, so I was a little bit more into it.
Yeah. So, you know, this whole thing scares me. And after the show, I go to bed. And mind you, I'm sharing a room with my brother at the time. And I'm on the top bunk of this bed. So I look over to like my left or my right, and there's a wrestling magazine there.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker's on the cover, and that scared me that night. I was like,
turn that thing over top.
Yes.
Throw it in the freezer so it can't get you.
Please do something to it, anything. So,
see, if I was your brother and I knew you were scared, I would have just been like messing with you all night.
I know you would have.
Rest in peace, Bill. Start banging, like you're on the top bunk, right? So just start banging it. It's the rebirth. I always wonder, I'm like, how did they get a camera in the coffin? That's
I know,
weird.
that's really good. I will give them that.
Well, yeah, they recorded that stuff, but
had you ever heard who was the Undertaker that rose to the heavens when that happened, or the alleged rumor?
No.
Apparently, and I can't confirm this, but apparently it was Marty Jannetty.
Oh, nice.
I hope he got bonus paid that night.
Probably the most money he made in his career. Being the Undertaker for one night.
Well, that's a different way of him getting hot. I'll say that.
Heyo.
All right. So Undertaker is on a well-deserved break.
Yep.
Meanwhile, $1 Million Man, he says that he's going to bring the Undertaker back to the WWF.
He brought him there the first time, so why not?
He did. So here's the Undertaker, and he's controlled by Ted DiBiase.
Mm-hmm.
Then we start to get these promos from Paul Bearer saying that that's not the real Undertaker. I have the real Undertaker.
Yeah.
And it gets so intense that we have to bring the greatest detective of all time, Leslie Nielsen, into the picture.
You betcha.
You bet your sweet bippy. And this leads to the Undertaker's return at SummerSlam. And this is the co-main event of that show, because it's also Owen Brett in the cage.
Yeah, pretty hard match to follow.
I know.
If you watch that, like, it's like the fans don't really know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And they make a point on commentary about how it's quiet. And I'm like, it's quiet because of the match they just watched.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
just
because
had a
there's
30-minute cage match.
it's not that there's two Undertakers in the ring, which is kind of weird at times, but it was obvious which one was the real Undertaker and which one was changed from DOA.
So
he wasn't changed yet, but
no, not yet. So Undertaker returns, and he's got a different look because this time he's got purple gloves on, purple tie. The hat has a purple, rope around it. I don't know what you call it, but you know what I mean.
Do you think they did the purple just so you could tell the difference between the two for that night, and then it ended up being a thing?
Yeah,
People
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Paul Bearer's Undertaker wins, and we never see the fake Undertaker again. So now that Undertaker's back, he's got some unfinished business to take care of because he's got to take care of Yokozuna for what happened at the Rumble. So we get another casket match at Survivor Series. But to make sure that no one interferes this time, we got a special enforcer that's going to make sure that if anybody tries to get involved, they got to go through this man. And this man is Chuck Norris.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yep.
And it was in Texas.
It was. And he got a pretty nice reaction, too, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Who's not cheering for Chuck Norris when he comes out? Come on.
I know. Seriously. So, during the match, IRS gets involved. How did he get past Chuck Norris? How in the world? Oh, he went through the crowd.
The tax man.
Yes. He beats up the Undertaker, but Undertaker manages to come back, put Yokozuna in the casket. Undertaker gets his revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1995.
Everyone's favorite year.
This is like universally the worst wrestling year ever.
Now, we talked about 95, like back before we started doing a year groups with wrestlers. We talked about 95 in our Kevin Nash episode.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys want to see more on 95, you can check that one out in the archives. But yeah, 95 was it was bad.
Mm-hmm. So it begins at the Royal Rumble, where Undertaker faces IRS. So this is going to be more of Undertaker facing the $1 Million Corporation more than anything else.
Yeah.
Beats IRS. But after the match, King Kong Bundy comes out, attacks the Undertaker, and they steal the Undertaker's urn, which then leads to WrestleMania 11, where Undertaker faces King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Talk about the streak.
This is the rough point. This is the rough
beginning
point.
of the streak.
9 to 11.
Like no wonder he was undefeated. He wasn't facing that great a talent here. This match is not good.
No, it is
not. But it's better than the Giant Gonzalez chloroform match. So that's something.
So during the match, Undertaker gets his urn back, only for Paul Bearer to lose it again.
Come on, Paul. Hold on to it.
This time by Kama.
Yep.
And
he melts it down into a cool chain.
Yep. So now Undertaker's got to go on. The urn's made of gold chains now. Well, he beats Bundy. And then Kama costs the Undertaker his King of the Ring quarterfinal match against Mabel. And this is not the last time we're going to say Mabel's name.
Oh, God, Mabel. Forgot about Mabel.
So,
he had a bad 95 and he won King of the Ring.
So then the Undertaker faces Kama at SummerSlam in a casket match. And I think this is where they finally get back for good the remains of the urn Undertaker beats Kamala, puts him in a casket. That's it. He's done.
Yeah.
No more $1 Million Corporation. We can go forward with our lives.
Mm-hmm.
That is until this incident on Monday Night Raw happens many months later.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker's in a 6-man tag, and King Mabel, we should call him King Mabel, is on the opposite side. During the match, King Mabel he does a leg drop on to the Undertaker's face. And he suffers an orbital bone injury.
This is real.
And
then Mabel had already injured Kevin Nash.
Right.
The month before, I believe.
Right. And Vince was going to fire him after that. And Nash is like, no, don't fire him. Don't fire him.
Fine. And so he's injured Kevin Nash, who was his champion, which I still think it was a little early for him to be champion. We talked about that.
Right.
But, it was an okay run for him. But, okay, so the champion gets injured by this guy. And then now your other top big guy is injured because of him. Carelessness.
Yeah.
So
Undertaker's out of action for a little bit, but he's going to make his return at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
Where a 10-year-old me attends his very first show. And the Undertaker makes his return. And there's something different about the Undertaker. He's wearing a protective mask over his
cool.
Face. It was cool. It was.
I was kind of hoping that he would wear it a little bit longer.
It added to his character, actually.
Oh yeah, because and even like when he takes his hat off in his entrance, and then Mabel looks all freaked out. And that was an interesting match, and it's kind of funny if you look back because like all the guys on his team were basically like the Bone Street crew.
It is,
except for Yoko and Kama, I think. I don't think Kama was on that team, but
so for those
Vega, yeah, go ahead.
Savio Vega, Make a Difference Fatu, and Henry Godwin.
Make a Difference Fatu, I forgot about him. Yeah, and then you didn't really know, but all these guys were basically like they hung out backstage. They were the Bone Street crew because they played dominoes. You learn a lot of this once Undertaker retires and you watch some of the documentaries.
And once you learn what BSK stood for, so
and then I was watching this Survivor Series. I think we were doing probably the '95 show with Kevin Nash. I was just watching that show again, and I'm like, oh, that's like the Bone Street crew. But at the time, you're like, why are these three guys teaming with the Undertaker? It made no sense.
It's like the most random pairing.
And the three of them are wearing Undertaker t-shirts.
Yeah.
But during that match, it's a pretty lame match. But
until
when Savio
gets in.
Now it's such a cool moment. Jerry Lawler gives Savio Vega a pile driver. And then he just like doesn't sell it at all. He just like sits up and he jumps and he tags the Undertaker. And then that's when the match just takes off.
And Undertaker single-handedly eliminates everybody from Mabel's team.
Yeah, he even beat Kane that night. He looked different though.
He's a dentist, I heard.
Yeah. So that team was I believe it was Triple H. Which, if you look at that team,
that's a good team, actually.
At the time, it was kind of like a bunch of jobbers. Jerry the King Lawler, Isaac Yankem, Triple H, and Mabel, right?
Yeah.
But was it a 5-man team or 4?
No, it was 4.
Okay. Yeah, and he doesn't beat Mabel. Mabel like runs away, gets the count out.
Yeah.
That's basically Mabel's, like, I think he has an appearance at Royal Rumble 96, but he's basically out of the company after this night.
Right, because they have to settle their feud at an In Your House again, a casket match.
Right.
Wins.
Yeah.
So we could.
I didn't watch all those in your houses. So
I didn't either. No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
So
that was a good. That December one was good with Brett and Bulldog.
Oh, I love that match. So now, after going through the $1 Million Corporation, having his face broken, Undertaker's going to get a title shot against Bret Hart at the Royal Rumble. So this is the rare babyface versus babyface match.
Yep. And Bret was getting booed here.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't the biggest fan of this match.
No. Well, because like if you guys don't remember this show, like they had the Royal Rumble right before this match. Mm-hmm. Kevin Nash gets kicked in the face to lose. It was a kind of an epic win for Shawn Michaels, like how they ended the Royal Rumble. It's like one of my favorite endings, how he super kicks him out of the ring. And Diesel's still hanging out there. And they're setting up their feud. And so that kind of took away from the actual match.
Yeah.
Like during the entrance, Undertaker and Diesel are pushing each other and fighting a little bit before the Bret Hart match even starts. So yeah, you kind of saw what was going to happen, I think, for WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. So, we'll get there.
So Undertaker hits the tombstone on Bret Hart. He's going to win the title. And then you got the count. 1, 2. Referee gets pulled out of the ring. Diesel pulled him out. Mm-hmm. And then Diesel flips off the Undertaker.
Yeah, you didn't see that in 96.
No. So Undertaker wins by DQ, but doesn't win the title.
That Diesel flip off was great.
And then what I remember is, because they used to do sometimes like a post show, like after last match ended, they'd do like a post show with some interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
So here's Gorilla Monsoon, then interim president, and he announces the pay-per-view of the Next in Your House. It's going to be Bret versus Diesel. Undertaker cuts in the middle of the promo, and he's like, "It'll be a cold day in hell before Diesel ever wears the championship of the WWF."
And why are they rewarding Diesel here? Like, if you're looking at it logically,
yeah,
he loses. Like, sure, he was the second last guy in a Royal Rumble, so we're going to give him a title shot. Even though if he won Royal Rumble, he would have got a title shot.
But to be fair, though,
and
in his
defense, he should have been suspended or fined or something, not rewarded.
Hold on, let me make my argument.
Okay.
In his defense, he never got his rematch. He never got his obligated rematch for the title. True. So I think
that's how this whole thing started, because he was mad that Undertaker got the shot before him.
Because I think what Gorilla thought was, okay, if Diesel wins, he's in the main event of WrestleMania. That's his rematch. Yeah. If he doesn't win, I'll just give him the shot at the next show because he never got his rematch.
Sure.
So they have the match in the cage, and Undertaker gets involved. He pulls Diesel underneath the ring and costs him the belt, even though the object of the match is to be the first out of the cage with your feet touching the
yeah. I don't. Yeah, so technically Diesel should have won that match.
Right, so it should have been Diesel and Shawn in the Iron Man match at WrestleMania.
Oh my God, imagine Kevin Nash 60 minutes. Would have been passed out by 14. Shawn would have won that. Probably Shawn would have won by a touchdown in the Iron Man match, I think. But yeah, so we're gonna get to WrestleMania here, and here's my logic. Okay. I think I've told you this before. Kevin Nash had given his notice in February about leaving. Yeah. If he didn't give his notice, would he have beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 12? I think he would have.
Maybe.
Because he ended up getting a title match. Again, he's rewarded for failure. Again, he loses at WrestleMania. And then he faces Sean, and then he's gone by May to WCW, become NWO, which is a great career move by Kevin Nash. But yeah, let's talk about the WrestleMania match. What did you think of this one? I liked the match.
I do too. It's a lot better than the previous two Undertaker had.
I think it's his best WrestleMania match to this point.
Yeah, because this one got more time. I think
he got more time, and like compare it to other matches.
You don't have many good big man versus big man matches.
Yeah,
let's be honest. And because really the only other one that you're going to compare as far as best WrestleMania match at this point is with Jake Roberts.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Jake Roberts, but yeah, this is the better of the two. Yeah, this is the better of the two.
It gets better. But we're going to talk till 99 here.
We're getting there, folks.
We're getting there. There's a couple more that are better than the Diesel match. For me, we'll talk about it as we go.
Yeah,
and then maybe we'll do what's his best WrestleMania match at this point in the 90s. Then we'll talk about that.
So I want to get to the next night because at this time, the Raw after WrestleMania was not known as the biggest Raw of the year. It really wasn't. But
this is like the first time it kind of starts that way.
Yeah. I would say if you're going to pinpoint, this is the show. Because on this show, we have a debut of this guy named Mankind. And he's a kooky kind of individual.
That's a mask. Way to describe him.
Pulls his hair out. And he wins his debut match. Again, I think it's against Bob Holly. I think that's the match.
Yeah, it was Bob Holly.
So, The Undertaker is the featured match on Raw that night against Justin Hawk Bradshaw. Later they will be close friends later on.
Yep.
So we get to the end of the match, and here comes Mankind to attack The Undertaker. And he beats The Undertaker up. He beats him up. He dives off the apron to deliver the elbow onto The Undertaker.
Yeah. I think it would have been better if he didn't have a debut match earlier in the show, if he just like came out and attacked him, because nobody would have like if you knew who Mick Foley was from other promotions, then maybe you might have figured it out who this guy is. But if it was like this surprise guy comes out of nowhere and attacks The Undertaker, but you had seen him like half an hour before. Raw was an hour at this point.
Yeah, it was.
So now I don't know how long was on, like when they did live shows. I'm sure they had some non-TV stuff too, right? But
probably.
Yeah, like you had just seen this guy in a match, and then he comes out to attack. It was still a big moment, but I think if you hadn't seen him at all, and this was his debut, him screeching, giving Undertaker this move that no one had seen, the mandible claw, and then seeing the Undertaker out. This is his best feud, I think.
I agree.
Now, like we'll talk further down the line. There's like a lot of feuds that he has in his 30 years. But this is
talking about the 90s. This is like top
90s. For sure.
I'd say top 2 or top 3.
Yeah.
So
this is a good year. Like 96 is fun. A lot better than 95 because just $1 million corporation match after, and then Mabel, and it was bad. But he did okay for what the cards he was dealt. So let's get into 96.
Their first match, televised match, is at King of the Ring. And this is a fight. I loved this match. It is so good because they just beat the crap out of each other.
Remember the Undertaker punches when he's in the Mankind's in the corner?
And it's
when you're watching the replay, it looks like they put it on fast forward. He's just going that fast. It's incredible, and Mankind's selling the shit out of it. It was so good.
And then you get the end of the match where Paul Bearer accidentally hits the Undertaker with the urn, which he's never done. And then Mankind beats the Undertaker with the mandible claw. He beats him in the ring. So the feud obviously continues, and we get to SummerSlam, and we have the first ever Boiler Room Brawl. Yep. And I didn't know at the time, like when I saw this, that part of the match was taped.
Yeah.
But I think you had to tape that.
Well, the back, all the stuff in the back was taped.
Mm-hmm. So they're fighting in the Boiler Room. I mean, they're just killing each other in there.
Yeah.
And then they make their way to the back. You see the wrestlers, they're kind of cheering this on.
Yeah.
And I think at one point somebody dumped hot coffee on the Undertaker. I think Mankind poured some coffee on the Undertaker.
Yeah.
So they get to the arena. They get to the crowd. Mankind takes this sick bump to the floor.
Yeah.
Where he's from the apron, hits the back of his head.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, that's it. It's over. Undertaker's got this one. Because the rule of the match, to win the match, you had to have possession of the urn. So Undertaker gets on one knee. He's doing his pose.
Yep.
And, he's waiting for Paul Bearer to give him the urn. He doesn't do it. Paul's not giving him the urn. And you're not believing this. It's Paul Bearer. They've been together for so long. And Mankind comes back, attacks the Undertaker, and then to basically, seal the deal with a kiss, Paul Bearer knocks the Undertaker out with the urn. And Mankind wins.
Now, when people talk about surprising heel turns,
that was a surprise.
No one talks about this one. And for me, I think it was a little early for this, but it was, if you go back and look, it's done really well too. So I kind of go back and forth. And then I wasn't a huge fan of the Paul Bearer Mankind stuff after this. Right. And seemed odd, and then Goldust was there sometimes,
but the turn was so surprising.
The turn was, it was shocking, and he's sitting there doing his pose, okay, hand me the urn, I win, and then he kind of just shocked, why aren't you handing it to me? And then Mankind starts beating him, and then Paul Bear's in a corner and he's laughing, and commentating is pretty good on this show. He's laughing. What's happening?
Yeah,
it's kind of. Yeah, but it's one of those heel turns. It's what?
Yeah.
Paul Bearer turns on the Undertaker?
Never. Oh, my God.
Come on.
So now the Undertaker, for the first time, is on his own. He's on his own. And Undertaker, excuse me. If you remember at the Mind Games in Your House, he attacks Mankind after Mankind has that incredible match with Shawn Michaels, which we talked about in the McFoley episode a while back.
Yeah, we talked about it in the Shawn Michaels episode too.
Yeah, we did too. And that's
definitely Mankind's best match in WWE.
Yeah,
for me.
And that sets up the following In Your House for the first ever Buried Alive match.
Yeah,
and I'm a kid. I'm 11, and I'm thinking to myself, my God, they're going to actually bury somebody alive.
How are they going to do this?
How will they do it? The match is all right. I don't have a problem with it. It just feels weird in a way.
Yeah.
So Undertaker wins the match. He technically wins the match. But after the match, he gets attacked by this masked guy.
Mm-hmm.
And here come some of the other heels. And they bury the Undertaker alive. And it's so hokey nowadays, but still, you know, it's
you watch it now and you're like, oh my God, why was I scared?
Mm-hmm. And then you see the hand come up at the end from the grave, and then Vince is like, "That's the Undertaker! That's the piece!"
Yeah.
So now Undertaker is briefly gone. He's not gone for long.
Yeah, it's like a month.
Because he has a match with Mankind at the Survivor Series.
And the worst entrance ever. Worst entrance ever. Comes down as Batman. Now he's Batman for some reason for a night. He even said, I didn't know if you were gonna go over this part, so I was like,
go ahead, go for it.
He even says it's the worst thing they ever did. He comes down like, I don't know, like similar to Sting, and he has wings.
Yeah.
For some reason. He's like, I had wings for some reason. Just the way that Mark Calloway explained it was so funny. So,
and this is a new look for the Undertaker.
Yeah, and he has this like weird mark under his eye.
I wasn't a fan of that, actually.
No.
I bet he wasn't either.
No.
So they wrestle at Survivor Series, Madison Square Garden. And this is, I think about it now.
And Paul Bear was in a
cage, yeah. This is kind of the forgotten singles match of the show, because this is the same show that has Austin and Brett.
Yeah.
And Sid beating Shawn for the title.
Yeah.
This is just forgotten, and probably for good reason.
Oh, this is terrible. Because the stipulation was didn't he get like 5 minutes with Paul Bear if he wins? He does win. And then the Executioner comes out, clotheslines him a couple times, and then it's over.
And JR during the match, he's so excited because there's a camera in the cage.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's a cage cam." What? It's a cage cam, Vince. It's a camera in the cage.
Your JR impression's so good, man.
He didn't have the black hat though.
No.
I do have it nearby. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go get it real quick.
The black hat's 97.
Yeah, here it is. So
he's got we gotta do a Jim Ross episode soon. where I'll be DK and you'll just be Jim Ross.
All right. So he ends 96 by beating the Executioner. That's really all we need to go with.
Yeah.
So to 97, he has a feud, or starts a feud.
The Attitude Era is starting here.
Yeah, slowly.
We're starting to get good.
So Undertaker wrestles Vader at the Rumble. Paul Bearer interferes, and Vader beats the Undertaker.
And the Undertaker is he over at the Royal Rumble?
He's because after
like Survivor Series, he's great at. WrestleMania, he's great at. Royal Rumble, geez, take January off, man. Like seriously,
SummerSlam, he's great at.
Like if you look at all the losses and all this bad stuff that happens to him, it's a Royal Rumble. 97 here, even in the next year that we'll talk about. 96 Royal Rumble, he wins by DQ. Doesn't win the title. 95 was bad. 94 was bad.
93.
Royal Rumble is not his event.
I mean, 92, he had a good number to win the title back. Eddie loses.
Have an extended Christmas vacation, man. Come back in February. It's all good. I was just thinking about that. Because like Survivor Series.
I think I'm going to say that to Undertaker in our tweet of the
Before the WrestleMania streak becomes a thing, he's more of a Survivor Series type guy. A lot of his big moments happen here. Like he wins the title for the first time. He debuts at Survivor Series. And he has like a whole bunch of, like when he returns, it's at Survivor Series. He gets some big wins there. So, yeah, I just thought that. So Royal Rumble 97 loses to Vader.
And then he comes back later into the Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
And he's part of the finish with Austin. We all know how that ended.
Final four. We'll get into that show right after here.
So then we go right to Final Four.
Yeah.
Undertaker's in the match. Him, Vader, Austin, Brett. And we all know the story. It was originally going to be for the title shot, and then it became for the title.
Yeah.
And it comes down to Bret Hart and the Undertaker at the end. And there's a lot of shenanigans, and Undertaker is eliminated, and Bret wins the title back.
Yeah.
So then Undertaker, I guess because he was the last guy eliminated, gets a championship match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Against Sid.
Because Sid beat Bret on Monday Night Raw
the next night.
The whole booking made no sense to me.
Oh, well, no, because Shawn Michaels was a tool.
Yeah.
We've already said that.
We talked about that in the Shawn episode, but like the reasoning behind it. Like, so Bret wins the Final Four match.
Mm-hmm.
You become the champion.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next night he has to defend the title.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why wouldn't they just do Bret versus like I know there's storyline reasons why, but
right.
why wouldn't Sid just get the title shot at WrestleMania instead of the guy that lost?
It would have made more sense.
Yeah, like the creative team, I think, were scrambling because I think they were planning on doing Bret Shawn at 13, and who knows what Steve Austin's doing, but everything worked out. But so Undertaker gets title shot at WrestleMania here
in the main event, and this has to go on after Bret and Austin, the I Quit or the submission match, after the Chicago Street Fight, which is a fun match. It's not great. It's just a fun match.
Yeah.
So by this point, the crowd's tired. They're just tired after those last two matches.
Because the Austin Bret match was kind of wasn't it in the middle of the show? Like, it was kind of weirdly placed.
With the Bret Austin match?
Yeah, because I don't think it was like right before the main event. I think
it was like it was like third to the last match.
Yeah.
So Undertaker wins the belt from Sid, and this is his second ring. And now we're gonna have a real title ring. We're gonna have a real one. We're not gonna have some 6-day bullcrap title ring.
Yeah.
So his first pay-per-view title defense is against Mankind. And they burned Undertaker's face going prior to the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little bit of a hidden gem of the Undertaker-Mankind rivalry, I think. I don't think this one gets discussed a lot.
Yeah.
Because Mankind takes that bump through the Spanish table head first. I'd never seen anything like that.
No.
Undertaker gets the win. Then we get to the funny part of the match. Because the Undertaker is supposed to get revenge on Paul Bearer.
Yeah.
He tries to light one set of matches. Doesn't work. Tries a second set of matches. Doesn't work. Tries a third set of matches. Doesn't work. It's not until I think the fourth or fifth try that he finally gets it and burns Paul Bearer's face.
Oh, man. That was painful to watch.
Oh.
But that's, when you're live.
You're live.
Sometimes things don't go perfect. And,
exactly. Stuff like that happens.
Try to hold your composure and get it done.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that was funny.
The next pay-per-view, Austin gets the title shot against the Undertaker.
Yeah.
I've seen this show. This match is the saving grace of what is otherwise a bad, forgettable show. This is a tremendous match.
A cold day in hell.
Yeah.
And I've said this on other shows. This is the best Stone Cold Steve Austin Undertaker match.
I agree.
That they have.
I agree.
It gets worse and worse as they go.
So Undertaker beats Austin after the Hart Foundation got involved.
Yeah, Brian Pillman rings the bell or something, right?
Yep.
And he's like, what? 1, 2, bell starts ringing. He's like, what's happening? And the Hart Foundation's sitting in the front row.
Yep.
I just remember Brett, like,
in the wheelchair.
Austin pushing him over. And everyone's cheering. Like, what is wrong with everybody?
So now we're getting into a little bit of a weird territory because Paul Bearer comes back. And he, in a way, kind of threatens to blackmail the Undertaker.
Yeah. There's a secret.
He doesn't let him be his manager. Yeah. He's got a
secret.
So Undertaker beats Farouk at King of the Ring. It's a forgettable match. I've never seen that match. I don't think it really is. So
and then Ahmed Johnson comes out and yells at him. It is nonsense.
Yeah. So then Undertaker, he's just had enough of Paul Bearer. And Paul Bearer is like, I'm going to tell your secret next week. So the next week on Raw, Paul Bearer tells this story about this kid. His name is Kane. And he had an older brother. Well, this older brother is the Undertaker. And Paul Bearer worked with their parents, Kane and Undertaker's parents. Well, one night, there was a fire that happened. And it killed both parents, and it killed Kane. And whose fault was it? It was the Undertaker's fault.
Oh, man.
He's the one who set the house on fire. So later in the show, Undertaker comes out to confront Paul Bearer. And then we get the immortal words. He's alive, Undertaker! Kane is alive!
Yep. You don't really know what's going to happen here.
And this just slowly starts, perhaps, the greatest story in WWE history. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Undertaker beats Vader at Canadian Stampede to win the title. You were at that show. Is that match any good?
Yes, it's a hidden gem for me. Undertaker defended the title at that show, so he just I guess I don't know how you say it. Win the title. He was champion. He defended it. It was
he kept the title.
See the thing at that time. I didn't rewatching that show. It's a really good match. At the time, everyone's in the crowd. All we want is Brett to come out.
Right. There's
one match, the 5 versus 5. All the Hart Foundation, all the hometown guys are in one match. So it's it was weird because we were all excited to have the main event. So honestly, it was a really good show, but we weren't too excited about the other matches. So, but that Undertaker match is great. I think it's one of Vader's best matches too. So I would definitely watch that again if you haven't seen it. So have you not seen Canadian Stampede?
No, I haven't.
Okay. You need to watch that show.
Yeah.
You need to watch that show. It's a great show.
So now we go to SummerSlam, where Undertaker defends the title against Bret Hart. Shawn Michaels is the guest referee.
Shawn is back.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know he quit.
This was our first watch along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we both genuinely love this match.
It was a great match.
Great match. Tells a great story.
Yep.
Has one of my favorite endings of all time to any match.
Yep.
Because
there's real life animosity here.
It was.
Brett's supposed to spit in Shawn's chest and he gets him right in the face.
And then wham! Knocks the Undertaker out. And he has to count it, or else Shawn's never going to wrestle again.
in the United States.
Yeah.
You would have to move to Calgary and wrestle.
And Undertaker loses the title.
Yep.
So this starts a feud with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. It was a nice transition because
it is.
And then at this point, you kind of forget about the whole Kane stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Paul Bearer does that whole thing, how Kane's still alive. So then you're like expecting Kane to come at some point. And then you have the Shawn Michaels rivalry. And then you kind of forget about the Kane stuff until, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But ground zero.
And this is also at the same time where D-Generation X is slowly forming.
Slowly, yeah.
Because like Hunter and China and then Rick Rude comes in.
You didn't really know that Shawn Michaels and Triple H were friends.
Right. Yeah, you didn't know they were BFFs.
But and then you see that clip of the cell phone with the curtain call.
Right.
Like you maybe put two and two together, but at the time you're like, Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Shawn Michaels, why are they like helping each other? It didn't make sense storyline wise, but then once you figure out other things, then it makes sense.
So yeah, they have the match at Ground Zero.
Underrated match.
Who won that match, or was there a winner?
It was like I think they just, because they were fighting, like Undertaker does this crazy jump over the ropes, and then they kind of can't get them back in the ring. So I think it's like a double DQ or double count out or something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
I don't think there's a winner. But I think this is the first time that Taker jumped over the top rope.
Right, because he'd never done it before.
Yeah, and it was like, holy Jesus. That was awesome. 6'10".
Mm-hmm. Right. So after that match, they decide, okay, we've got to have a match.
Yeah.
Where no one can get involved, no one can get in, no one can get out.
Yeah.
And thus is born Hell in a Cell. And
what the concept?
We're actually really close to the 25th anniversary of that match.
Yeah.
So Bad Blood in your house, main event, Shawn and Undertaker, the first ever Hell in a Cell. And to a lot of people, this is the best one. To a lot of people.
And I'm one of those people.
I gotta agree. I'll explain why when we get to the other one.
Yeah.
So they have the match. They're in the cell. They go out of the cell. Shawn does a kind of a stage dive, but it's not really far up. It's about 10, 15 feet up through the table. Shawn's a bloody mess.
Now, at this time, that was an epic bump.
It is. It was.
But a year and a half later, some other guy kind of stole his thunder.
Right.
Not a year and a half later, but
not even a year.
6 months later. So he steals his thunder, and then now you go back and you watch that, and you're like, oh, Shawn, you couldn't even. Nice bump, loser. Can't even take one. Oh. Still pretty far. Incoming. I love Jerry Lawler's commentary.
Right. So Undertaker's about to finish this match. He's gonna win this match. And then all of a sudden the lights go out. And then you hear music playing.
Yeah.
And then there's red lights.
You're like, what? What's happening? The fire is like, whoa.
There's Paul Bearer. And then the classic Vince line, it's gotta be Cade! It's gotta be Cade!
Yeah, if you listen to Bruce Pritchard talk about it, he's like, he hated the commentary. He's like, you don't have to say it. Everyone knows.
It's Cade.
Like, create some, like, uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's, for me, it's the best debut in history.
Yeah. Because you don't expect it.
And like I know he has lifts in his shoes here, but he's bigger than the Undertaker here.
Mm-hmm. So, they do the whole thing. He rips the door, knocks the referee down.
Yeah.
And he's got the same powers as the Undertaker. And then he tombstones the Undertaker, like the Undertaker.
Yep.
And then Shawn, who has been out of it,
Sean just lying there.
Crawls over and wins.
Yep.
He beats the Undertaker.
And the best part is the song, Sean's song.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there's blood everywhere, he's half dead, and then you just hear Sean singing, "I'm just a sexy boy," and he's just lying there, and like Triple H is carrying him out, and he's all dead. Yep. And like just the music is really funny for this part because like Undertaker's completely out, and then
on a side note, Dave Meltzer gave that match 5 stars.
Yep. It was the first 5-star.
One of the rare times Dave Meltzer gave a WWE match 5 stars.
Yeah, because it wasn't in Tokyo Dome, so
exactly.
He doesn't give 5 stars unless it's in Tokyo Dome.
So for the rest of 97, Undertaker is being mentally tortured by Paul Bearer and Kane.
And it's like the first time he's not in Survivor Series.
Yeah, he's not on the Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And he has a match at like the December In Your House. Let me see who he wrestled against.
Yeah, who was that?
Hold on. I can.
It was some.
You're gonna laugh.
Yeah, it's somebody that shouldn't have faced.
He wrestles Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, it made no sense. That's what it was.
And loses by disqualification.
Okay.
Because of Kane. I believe that's what happened.
I don't think I've ever seen that show. Now I know it like it's known for Owen Hart coming back
and
attacking Shawn Michaels, and that Shamrock and Michaels is the main event. Degeneration X In Your House, I believe it's called, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if I've actually seen that show. So that might be a fun
show.
That might be a fun review sometime. That's why I kind of like doing these shows with you, because we like kind of go back in time and then we look at things. I'm like, hey,
and it's like, and then it's like we learn like what shows we've seen and what we've never seen. So
yeah, no, I would definitely be down for an In Your House review. Like, have we even reviewed an In Your House before? Yeah, I think we have a couple.
I'll have to look back.
Over the Edge, we did one time.
Yeah, I think that's the one. That's
Steve Austin, Dude Love, not Owen Hart fall.
So, Undertaker is going to get a title match at the Royal Rumble again.
Oh, God. Poor bastard.
He's going to face Shawn Michaels in a casket match.
Just decline it. Casket matches at Royal Rumble don't work for you, Mark.
So, and then here's where it gets interesting. Because the Raw prior to the Royal Rumble, Shawn announces there's a new member of Degeneration X.
Yeah.
And he says it's Kane. Well, Undertaker doesn't believe it.
Suck it. I think he was talking at all at that point.
So Kane comes out and he helps the Undertaker?
What?
And
what's happening here?
And Kane, does the Undertaker pose?
Yep.
And Undertaker does it, and it's like, oh, they're together. Kane and the Undertaker, they're together.
JR's losing it. What a moment.
I'd have to watch that Raw to do that imitation. So
yeah.
So we get to the Rumble, and this is the match where Shawn injures his back.
He decides to do a backdrop over a casket.
I mean, but the thing is, if you watch it, it's like he barely misses.
Yeah, I think he injures himself because it's just the timing was off, and he's like, he sees it, and then he's like, oh, something happens there.
Yeah. So we get a repeat of 94 again, because the New Age Outlaws come to help, and God knows for what reason, Los Pericuas come to help.
Yeah, Savio Vega's his friend. Like, what's happening?
I know. Jeez. And then here comes Kane. Kane comes to help clean house.
Yep.
And then you're like, okay, they're together. And then all of a sudden, Kane chokeslams the Undertaker.
Yep.
he bamboozled us. He tricked us all.
Yep. I was not tricked. I knew it was fake.
Right.
Like, come on.
So
he comes all the way back 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then just one day he's like, you know what? He's okay. I kind of like him. We'll just be friends. No, 20 years of hate takes longer to get over.
So
he bamboozled him. I love that phrase.
So he chokeslams Undertaker into the casket. Shawn wins.
Yep.
Then here comes Paul Bearer. They put a lock on the casket. They rolled the casket towards the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And Kane, he starts taking an axe and starts chopping at the casket. And you're like, what are they doing? Then he gets a can of gasoline, pours it all over the casket.
Yeah.
They take the matches one time, and only took one set of matches to light this time.
The mayor of Knox County knows how to light a match.
Mm-hmm. And they set the casket on fire.
Yeah, I did hear a story that the fire marshal at the stadium was not happy with how big the fire was. I think that maybe there's a little too much gasoline thrown on there by Kane. So, yeah, there was a whole thing. I listened to
that's pretty funny, actually.
Forget which one it was, but about that event. And yeah, the fire marshal was very upset with how high the flames were because I guess they had said it had to be a certain height, but they went over it. And if you watch it, the Inferno.
So Undertaker's gone for a little while. Then he comes back on Raw. And now he's ready. Now he's ready to fight Kane.
Yeah.
The buildup, the months, ready to fight Kane. So we go to WrestleMania 14.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first official Kane versus Undertaker match. I like this match. I know we said we were gonna do like our picks for the best WrestleMania match of the 90s of The Undertaker.
Yeah.
This would be my pick.
Yeah, mine too.
It's such a good match. It tells a good story.
People don't rate it as high as it should be. I think it's one of his better WrestleMania matches, like overall.
Yeah.
And if you remember this match, Kane beats the living crap out of him for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Undertaker needs 3 tombstones to win.
Mm-hmm.
Kane kicks out right at the end on the third one.
Yeah. It's like he got out at like 3 1/4.
Yeah, it's a good match. And like I think at the time when they invented the Kane character, like this was going to be a one-off.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns in the Brothers of Destruction documentary, they're like, yeah, it was the beginning of a 20-year storyline.
And it's done so well, this match, because it's like, and at one point Kane hits the tombstone on Undertaker and he kicks out.
Yeah.
It's like, how can how can one beat the other?
Yeah.
So
and no one, I don't think anyone had ever kicked out of an Undertaker tombstone before this.
Right.
Like and if he hits that, it was over.
And if you think about it, with maybe the exception of Diesel, Kane's the best threat to end the streak, like the early years of the streak.
Yeah. But we didn't even know there was a streak. Like,
right, we didn't know.
Paid attention. Like, they didn't even acknowledge the streak until 18. Mm-hmm. So we're 4 years from then. So I think he was about 6-0 here.
Yeah.
So it was not really a big deal being 6-0. So Undertaker losing here to Kane wouldn't have changed a whole lot for like at the time.
Yeah.
It would have been like, oh wow, Kane gets his revenge. And he wins. So but yeah, Undertaker winning here. It's pretty good match though. And
then we go to the next pay-per-view and we have the first ever Inferno match.
Yeah.
Where the object of the match is to put your opponent on fire.
Yeah.
I still feel this way to this day. I would have hated to have been the referee for that match. because you're in the ring. Okay, because here's the thing. And I've learned this talking to people who, have been wrestlers and, been in groups and stuff. Depending on the venue, when you're in a ring, it's a little bit warmer being in the ring than being out of the ring.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, like the ECW arena, I always heard, like, if it's 80 degrees outside of the ECW arena, it's going to be an additional 40 degrees warmer in the ring.
In the actual ring, okay.
In the actual ring.
You had the fire around the ring.
So imagine you're in an arena. Yes, it's air conditioned, but still, you're in an arena. And you're wrestling a match with fire surrounding you.
With 20,000 people in here.
Right.
This is 98.
Yeah, like, and this is probably another 30, 40, 50 degrees warmer than it should be.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have hated to have done that match. Would have hated it.
Yeah.
So, Taker gets a bit of revenge because he beats up Paul Bearer.
Yep.
And he gets Kane set on fire.
Yeah, and he gets his arm stuck in there. Like, you kind of wonder, like, how are they going to do this?
Yeah. How are they going to get away with it?
Yeah.
They kind of do.
And then Kane's like, he sells it pretty good. He's like walking back, his arm's on fire. And
So now we get to Undertaker, and he's ready to be champion again. So Vince is like, you want to be champion? You have to fight your brother Kane on the #1 contendership. And this is on the Raw after the Over the Edge paper.
Yeah.
Kane finally gets his win on the Undertaker with help from Mankind. And this sets up Undertaker and Mankind for King of the Ring, Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, it seemed to escalate quickly. Like, they hadn't wrestled in a while, and then they just people that are listening on Bill just put JR cowboy hat on, so that's why I lost my train of thought.
So we get to the match. We all know the story. They start the match on top of the cage
because of Terry Funk.
Yes,
the whole story was Mick was worried that this match wouldn't be good. Like, how am I going to top the Shawn Michaels Undertaker match? Just start on top.
Yep.
And then I guess Undertaker, it took some convincing.
Yeah.
But then let's talk about this train wreck of a match. Like, it goes down as a classic, but it could have been catastrophic.
Yeah, it could have.
On multiple occasions.
Because at one point, they both take a step, and like a part of the cell breaks at the top.
Yeah. Well, Undertaker's 300 pounds.
Yeah, Mick is 300 pounds.
Yeah, like high 280s. So it's like 600 pounds stepping on a beam. Like, what do you think's gonna happen?
And the famous throw, and JR, good God Almighty! Good God Almighty! He killed him! There's God is my witness! He is broken in half!
And they, I've listened to JR podcast, and he never knows what's going to happen. Like, he wants to be surprised, so his commentary is legit.
Yeah.
So he didn't know that Undertaker was going to throw Mankind off the top.
Right.
And like, that's legit. He's scared for Mick Foley.
Right. And JR,
for the person there.
And JR at one point is apologizing to the audience, saying, we're sorry this match is short.
This is over. It's over.
It's over. And then Mick comes back. He climbs back up the cell. Yeah. And then the spot is supposed to be he takes a choke slam onto the table. Or the chair, I mean.
Yeah.
He takes the choke slam. The part of the cell breaks. He and the chair go together. And it's like, oh my God.
And they, like Undertaker said, he like moved over a little bit before the choke slam. He said if he hadn't done that, he would have choke slammed Mick. Mick would have over rotated, landed on his neck, and he would have died.
Yeah.
Like he like that amount of force from that distance. Like you break your neck from that distance, like you're not surviving.
Yeah.
And that would have been on a live pay-per-view. Like the thing with Owen Hart was awful, but at least it wasn't shown on TV.
Exactly.
Because they had the whole thing with him on the Jumbotron. A set, like some people in the arena have that awful imagery probably burned in their brain.
Yeah.
But this is on a live pay-per-view. And Mick, like if he over rotated, it could have been awful.
It could have.
So I was really surprised they didn't stop the match after the original injury. But yeah,
after the second one.
And like Vince is out there. Like he's not out there as Mr. McMahon. He's out there because Mick's hurt. And so that's the thing. Like when people are saying, "Oh, this is the best Hell in a Cell match," this was crazy. Like it was crazy for all the stuff that happened. But it wasn't a great match. Like so many bad things happened here to Mick Foley.
So they continued the match.
Yeah.
And, this is the first time where we get the bag of thumbtacks.
Yeah.
Is this show. Undertaker wins. And they get a standing ovation after the match.
Well, the story here is Mick goes back after the match. He's lying there and he's got thumbtacks in his back and his arm. And he says to Bruce Pritchard, "Sorry, I didn't get the thumbtack spotted." And then Bruce is like, "Mick, look at your arm." And then he looks down. Like Mick Foley didn't remember the thumbtack part. That's how messed up he was.
So later that night in the Austin Kane title match, Undertaker comes out.
Yeah.
He's going to hit Mankind, who, again, I don't know how he came back after what happened.
It's a first blood match, too.
Yeah. So. And Undertaker accidentally hits Austin.
Yeah.
And Undertaker, by accident, costs Austin the title.
Yeah. Which didn't make sense why Austin would lose the title there, because it's supposed to be Kane. Supposed to, like, you're supposed to make your opponent bleed. That was the whole thing. They said it on promos like so many times. So Austin's bleeding because of Undertaker, not Kane. So
yeah.
But Kane wins the title here, and no one remembers because of Mick Foley.
Yeah.
Glenn Jacobs has gone on shows and said, "My first title win, no one remembers because some guy flew off a cage that night."
Thanks, Mick.
Thanks, Mick, for ruining my moment.
So
it's an underrated show, though, King of the Ring 98.
I love that show. Oh,
people think it's just like, oh man, this is like a cool like title match, and then Hell in a Cell.
There's more to that. There really is.
I can't even remember. I think Ken Shamrock won King of the Ring, but no one remembers who won King of the Ring that year.
It was
some of that stuff happened.
It was him and The Rock in the finals, and it's their best match. It is their best match.
They had a good. They had a pretty decent rivalry too in '98. Let's do.
So Undertaker ends up at the next pay-per-view teaming up with Stone Cold Steve Austin to face Kane and Mankind. However, to throw in a twist, Kane and Mankind are the tag team champions. So this match is for the tag team titles. And Undertaker and Austin win the tag team titles.
So this is where like a lot of fans say Vince doesn't like tag team wrestling.
It's the main event of a pay-per-view.
I know. And then you have like 4 singles guys in a tag team match. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's have real tag teams that have tag team championships. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of the booking here.
And then they would eventually lose them back to Kane and Mankind. But what this does set up in the bigger picture is SummerSlam that year.
Yeah.
Undertaker, Austin, Highway to Hell, Madison Square Garden. One of my favorite buildups of all time to a show.
Yeah.
I loved this buildup.
Buildup was great. Didn't work though.
Well,
those two just, I don't know. Like I said before, they just, I don't know if it was the chemistry or what. I know Austin gets hurt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Austin gets hurt like 5 minutes into the match.
That's 2 SummerSlams in a row for him. Like he must maybe not like SummerSlam here.
He's concussed, and Earl Hebner's like, do you know where you're at? Yeah, I'm in Madison Square Garden. Like.
No, it went the opposite of that. He's like, where am I, Earl? And
you're
in the garden, Steve. It's like, oh shit. Sweet.
I mean, for a while, this was my favorite Austin Taker match. But after I saw the In Your House match is better than this one.
Oh, so you saw that like after?
Yeah,
because it happens the year before. So,
but also at the same time, Kane and the Undertaker are together for reals.
Yeah, for reals, for realski.
Yeah, and Vince McMahon realizes this is a powerful team.
This is the way to get the title.
Yeah, no one can beat them. So at the September In Your House, Austin has to defend the title against both Kane and the Undertaker in a triple threat match.
And Undertaker can't pin Kane, and Kane
can't pin Undertaker. So the deck is stacked.
Basically a handicap match, but not. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like the ending, how they both pin him, because that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So
it's a double choke slam.
Yeah.
It's a double choke slam. They both pin Austin, and Vince didn't care who won as long as the title was off of Austin.
Yeah. Then you kind of have a weird time where no one's champion.
Yeah. So Austin is no longer champion, but Kane and the Undertaker aren't champions either. So this sets up the October pay-per-view where it is Kane versus the Undertaker for the title with Austin as the guest referee. And if Austin does not call it down the middle, he is fired. So during the match, we see Paul Bearer, who hasn't been on TV in a while. And it's like, oh, he's going to help Kane, because we forgot to mention this in all the Undertaker talk. We find out that Paul Bearer is Kane's dad.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, he's here to help out his son, but he attacks Kane.
Yeah.
He sides with the Undertaker. And then Kane and the Undertaker don't win because Austin counts them both out.
The winner of the match, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I loved it. I remember watching it on pay-per-view. I'm like, yeah, you can't make yourself the champion when you're the referee. It made no sense. It made no sense, but it was great.
So after that, we go to the Survivor Series and the Deadly Games tournament.
Underrated pay-per-view, honestly. I really like this one.
Thank you.
For tournaments,
this is like the best tournament.
Yeah, like you have WrestleMania 4, which was a fun tournament, but I like this one better, honestly.
Here's how
you didn't know who you didn't know who was going to win.
Here's how I would look at both of them real quick, and we could actually do a show about both tournaments another time.
Yeah, we could.
Survivor Series and the Deadly Games tournament is more of a story tournament being done.
Yeah.
Where with WrestleMania 4, it's matches and there is a story, but the story doesn't really develop until later in the tournament. Here with the Survivor Series, you've got a tournament from the very beginning.
Yeah.
All the way to the end. So Kane and The Undertaker receive first round buys.
So they face each other.
Yeah, so they face each other in the second round.
Yeah.
They are the first match of the second round. And Undertaker beats Kane with help from Paul Bearer. So The Undertaker advances into the tournament, and his semifinal opponent is The Rock. During the match, Kane comes out and he choke slams The Rock.
Yeah.
And JR is like, wait a minute, are they back together? No.
And then the winner of the match by DQ, The Rock.
The Rock. Yeah,
and then everyone,
The Undertaker.
everyone thinks that Vince is like trying to screw The Rock and Austin here. He didn't really know what was going to happen.
Oh, so
it was really well done.
Yes.
Storyline wise.
And for historical purpose here, this is the first official loss The Undertaker ever has at a Survivor Series.
Yeah, I guess so.
Even though he's not pinned, he still has. So the Survivor Series streak is over.
Yeah.
The SummerSlam streak is over.
98 wasn't great for his record there.
We all know how bad the Royal Rumble is, Dan.
Oh my God.
So now Undertaker takes his attention to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And at one point, he tries to embalm him.
Yeah. That's kind of weird.
Yeah. And then,
have you seen the bloopers of that when Paul Bearer goes to pull his pants down?
Those are funny.
And he's like, what the
hell? So they are eventually going to have a match at the December In Your House. And it's going to be a buried alive match. If Austin wins this match, he qualifies for the Royal Rumble. But before we get to that match, there's a controversial incident that happens on the Raw prior to that show. Because this is the night where the Undertaker's cross, in quotation marks, appears. And at the end of the show, they strap Austin on to the cross, in quotation marks, and sacrifice Stone Cold Steve Austin to what I don't know. So we have the match at In Your House, Rock Bottom, and Austin wins with help from Kane. And this is sort of a transition period for The Undertaker here, because he transitions into becoming the Lord of Darkness and starting the Ministry of Darkness. And he starts to recruit members. He takes Phineas Godwin and he becomes Midian. And then you got Bradshaw and Farouk. They become the Acolytes. At the Royal Rumble, they kidnap Mabel and he becomes Viscera. And then to round out the group, you have these Druids. The Druids end up being the Brood, Gangrel, Edge, and Christian.
Yeah.
So the Undertakers formed basically an army of darkness.
Yeah, so kind of like a cult.
Yeah. And the Undertaker's goal is to take over the World Wrestling Federation. And
So this is
He
like the
threatened.
first time, like in late '98, like this first time he's a heel since '92.
Yeah,
They had like a 6-year babyface run, and now he's
a heel.
getting moved into like this dark heel character now.
So he threatens Vince McMahon. He's going to take over the World Wrestling Federation. And then he starts to drop hints about she. Who is she?
Yeah.
So Vince has Kane face Undertaker on Raw in a Inferno match. Kane loses. After the match, Undertaker takes this stuffed teddy bear, burns the bear, and makes Vince cry. So there's a meaning to this. We find out the she that Undertaker is referencing is a young Stephanie McMahon, who is 22 years old at the time. You want to feel old? Her TV debut, she's 22 years old.
Oh, I thought she was younger than that.
No, she's 22.
She was 22.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Undertaker then has a match at WrestleMania 15 against the Big Boss Man inside Hell in a Cell. For whatever reason, this match does not click.
Well, maybe because he tried to hang him.
Well, no, I meant during the match, not after.
It was a bad match. Yeah. This is up there with bad WrestleMania matches.
I mean, here's how bad this match is. This match is so bad that when they came out many years ago with the Hell in a Cell DVD set, that match is not on the DVD. That's how bad it is.
Just tried to erase it from history.
Yeah. So the next night on Raw, they abduct Stephanie McMahon. And it takes Ken Shamrock.
Where to, Stephanie?
Oh, we haven't gotten to that point yet.
That's not that part yet? Oh, okay.
We're not there. We're almost there.
My bad.
But it takes Ken Shamrock to save Stephanie. So now Vince is distracted. He can't run the company. He's got to protect his baby girl. So at Backlash, Ken Shamrock faces The Undertaker. And Undertaker, with a little help from the Acolytes, beats Ken Shamrock. Then we get to the end of the show. Vince has gone out to give Stone Cold back his title. And Stephanie's in the limo. And the ministry is trying to get to her. And she's like, start the car. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie's like, wait, we got to wait for my dad. And then the famous line,
where to, Stephanie? Start screaming.
And then here's the funniest part about this. It's not the Undertaker and Stephanie thing. It's JR and Jerry Lawler who are on commentary. And they're like, Vince, your daughter's been kidnapped. He can't hear you. It's absolutely funny.
Yeah.
So the next night on Raw, we are going to have a wedding of Stephanie McMahon and The Undertaker.
Yeah, that's not weird at all.
No, not weird at all. Now, I didn't see this episode, but I've seen clips of it. Because, with Livewire and that. So that's how I kind of caught up. I actually like how this is done because Vince asks Stone Cold to help him. And Stone Cold's like, hell no, I'm not helping you. So you get to the end of the show. Stephanie's on the Undertaker symbol. And they're doing the ceremony. Shamrock comes to help. He gets beat up. Mm-hmm. Big Show, who's still new, comes to help, gets beat up. When they get to the very end, that's when Austin comes out. and the crowd goes crazy. And Jim Cornette, who's doing commentary that night, has a wonderful line in this where he's like, he didn't save Stephanie for Vince McMahon. He saved Stephanie because it was the right thing to do.
Yep.
And he's right.
Reiterating.
That is right.
Yeah, just because you don't like Vince on storyline.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean you're not going to save a 22-year-old girl.
Exactly.
Put on a cross or whatever it is the symbol, but it was a controversial moment.
We know what it was.
Yeah, we know what it was.
So then on depending on how you want to say this, the premiere or the special SmackDown episode, depending on how you want to call it.
Yeah.
The Undertaker stands side by side with Shane McMahon. And this is the birth of the corporate ministry. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. The Ministry of Darkness alone worked. It was really good.
Yeah, when they combined the two,
they did not need to do that. They did not need to combine the two.
It kind of reminded me of when the NWO had like all these guys, and it just didn't work.
Yeah,
there's like so many members. It was kind of similar.
Yeah. So, Undertaker gets a title shot against Austin at Over the Edge, which we all know what happened.
We don't even need to talk about that night.
No, but to give you the short version, Undertaker wins the title.
Yeah.
Thanks to a fast 3 count by Shane.
Yeah.
So after that, we are told of a higher power. We find out it's Vince. Undertaker then defends the title at King of the Ring against The Rock. And Triple H comes to help and basically screw The Rock out of the title. Undertaker retains. So the next night on Raw, after Vince and Shane gain 100% ownership of the company, Stone Cold gets a title match against The Undertaker.
Yeah, he booked himself a title match because he knew he was going to get screwed.
Yeah.
So he booked it early.
So they have the match, and Austin beats The Undertaker for the title.
I think 99 has like 14 title changes.
It's insane.
It's like the one thing that I didn't like about 99. Like it's still okay, but too much turnover.
Yeah. So after Austin wins the title, Undertaker attacks him and makes him bleed. And then he does this again a few more times, which is going to lead to the Fully Loaded pay-per-view, where it is Undertaker versus Austin for the WWF title in a first blood match. Then we get this stipulation. If Austin loses the title, he can never compete again for the WWF title. If the Undertaker loses, Vince is gone from the WWF. So basically, the Undertaker's in a position of, look, if I win the title. If I lose, I don't have to deal with my boss anymore.
Yeah.
So during the match, X-Pac comes out.
Why not? Let's bring X-Pac out.
Right, let's bring X-Pac out. Undertaker bleeds, Austin wins, Vince is gone. And this basically ends the corporate ministry right here.
Yeah.
This basically ends.
I think that's their way of just getting on to the next angles and stuff.
And oh boy, what a fun next angle we're going to have, because the Undertaker forms an alliance with the Big Show.
Oh yeah, this is not good.
And this leads to them getting a tag team title match at SummerSlam against Kane and X-Pac. Not the main event of the show, though, but it's still 4 singles wrestlers.
Yep. That's the way the tag team division kind of was in this era. They seem to just throw guys in there.
So, Undertaker and Big Show win the tag titles. Then, this is where the end of The Undertaker for the 90s begins. Because after SummerSlam, I can't pinpoint a time, he has a groin injury. And Undertaker and Big Show lose the tag titles to Mankind and The Rock. But they eventually get the belts back in a Buried Alive match.
Buried Alive tag match, okay.
Yes, a Buried Alive tag match. That's right.
A lot of second half of 99 is a blank for me. I think I maybe stopped watching.
Right.
After SummerSlam, like when Triple H kind of became the guy, I was not a really big fan of his. So I think I just kind of like didn't watch the second half of 99. It wasn't great.
All right, because I got to look up.
A lot of it, like you're saying it, I'm like, wow, I don't remember that.
All right, this is where I got to look up where they lose the tag titles because I do not remember.
Well, so I do know Undertaker just goes away, and they don't really explain what happened to him, like on TV.
So after they win the belts back, they lose the belts again to Mankind and Mick Foley. And this is the Wikipedia notes. This match was contested under dark side rules, meaning all members of the Ministry of Darkness at this time, which is Big Show, Undertaker, Mideon, and Viscera, were legal in the match. However, Undertaker was on commentary the entire match. Rock pins Mideon to win the tag team titles.
So Undertaker's hurt, and that's just their way of getting the belts off them?
Yeah.
Ridiculous rule format.
Yeah. and then on the SmackDown prior to the September pay-per-view, Triple H is supposed to run this gauntlet where he's supposed to face the 5 other men in the 6-pack challenge for the WWF title. One of the matches he is to have is against The Undertaker in a casket match. Vince tells The Undertaker, if you don't do this match, you are out of the 6-pack challenge. And The Undertaker basically says, I don't care, I'm leaving. And that's how they write off The Undertaker. And that is the end of The Undertaker for the 1990s. Yeah. Not the best ending.
No, not the best ending. 99 was honestly a forgettable year for me. His big time moment is the worst night in WWE history.
Mm-hmm.
When he wins the title at a big pay-per-view over Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's the night of Owen Hart's death. The show should have stopped. We've talked about this a ton. Not going to get into it. The Ministry of Darkness is forgettable. When they converted to the corporate ministry, got worse. The storyline putting Stephanie on the symbol, which is basically a cross, which is bad look. Didn't like it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, The Undertaker is one of my favorite characters of all time. I'm really glad we were able to do this part 1. The end, not great. And then when we do the Undertaker next, we'll be doing year 2000 to 2010,
And
and
I'll be. Oh, go
that
ahead.
should be interesting too.
I'll be honest. At this point in time, I was not the biggest Undertaker fan. I guess I don't know why. I just don't know why I wasn't a
It's
fan.
definitely the worst part of his career for me.
Yeah.
The middle part, because
This is-
2010 to whenever he actually retired,
Mhm.
and that part will be probably a fast one because he wrestled once a year. We talked about the Mania matches and a couple like overseas, but I think his career gets resurrected in 2010.
Yeah, this is
or 2009 or whenever the match with Shawn was 25.
this
I don't remember the year.
This is his lowest point.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I'm not saying that's going to be the next show. We will do 3 parts of the Undertaker on this podcast. It's not going to be all in order. But I wanted. There's no way we could do his career in one show. We'd be here for 8 hours.
Oh yeah, we'd be here forever.
We're at 2.5 hours recording right now.
Yeah.
So definitely a long show for us today. I'm glad that we could do it.
Yeah. I want to throw one last thing in and then we'll wrap it up. I'm not sure if you've heard about this. Again, this is from Wikipedia. According to an interview with Kevin Nash, because at times the Undertaker was in his biker gear. This is before 2000. According to Kevin Nash, this was a move to allow Calloway to enter WCW with a non-trademark persona. Had he entered WCW, it would have been as Mark Calloway. Although negotiations were described as close by Nash, Calloway ultimately re-signed with the WWF. Conversely, on the Broken Skull sessions in November 2020, Calloway revealed that there was no way he was ever going to rejoin WCW, that the gimmick's biker transition was just a matter of him switching things up because he didn't feel the gimmick's dead man side properly fit with the then ongoing Attitude Era. And I think that's a good teaser for the next episode.
Yeah.
We will get the American Badass on the next show.
Yeah.
And we will review Clash at the Castle.
Class. You said the wrong word.
I know.
How embarrassing.
Join our Facebook group, the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast. You guys can suggest to us future episodes. You can, if you got any questions for us, we'll read it on the show.
Yeah.
We will do it.
We'd also be open to if somebody is interested in joining a show.
Absolutely.
With a different perspective and a different voice. If there's somebody that you're interested in us reviewing or discussing.
Absolutely.
If you have your own takes on that, that'd be cool too. So yeah, I believe we'll probably end up doing a poll for the next episode. It'll probably be a pay-per-view review. So we can talk about that in the future.
All right.
Put it up on the post and we'll see how that goes. But
all right.
Yeah, great show. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you all for tuning in or watching wherever you're doing it, either on the YouTube or on the podcast. And we'll talk to you later.
Have a good one, guys.